Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 of building the sub box. I hope you stick around and watch me finish this thing up. But before we get started, make sure you go down and subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. And also do me a favor, go down and hit that like button. I'll wait. Thanks. Let's get started. Because it's going to take a while for this to dry, I'm going to start with painting the exterior of the sub box. Now what I like to use on this is this product from Duplicolor. It's the truck bed coating. I like to put a lot of heavy coats on here and give this stuff plenty of time to dry. So I ended up getting 2 more cans of the truck bed liner, and you can see I got both those cans sprayed on here. That texture turned out real nice on it. Let it sit and dry for quite a while, and that's about all I'm going to do on the outside. Well, before I get going cutting out any of those face plates like I was talking about, I'm going to do the right thing and spray a bunch of wet paint so all that sawdust and everything can go ahead and get kicked up in that. But the main thing is I want to get this paint plenty of time to dry before I really start messing around with anything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and mask off, and I'm going to start with a little bit of primer just to let it soak into the wood and get some of that color in there, and then we're going to get some of that stone paint on it. Alright, so I've given the primer plenty of time to dry. It's on to the next coat. For those of you that know what this is, you know. But for those of you that don't, it's a stone finish type of paint. This was super popular back in the day, especially in mini trucks. I'm just doing this more as a little nod, a little throwback to the old school. So I'm going to get some of this on here. This isn't going to be the main finish on it. Mainly it's just going to be up around these edges. I'm going to try and do a face plate on this, kind of like I was saying before, with some 2-part epoxy, and I'm going to play around with that. There we go. I know it's kind of hard to see from there, so I'll bring you down for a closer look. One of the big benefits of this stuff is it goes on super thick, so it really does hide a lot. I didn't spend a lot of time cleaning up where I had my sealant or anything like that, and it really just hides all those gaps. And this stuff just buries it, so I'll bring you in for a little bit closer look. Alright, since my sawhorses are currently in use, I'm going to go to my secondary sawhorse, which is my old F100. Not getting much done on it lately, so might as well put it to work in one way or another. Alright, there we go, that's the start of it. Again, similar deal to laying that one out, just found the center lines of everything. Actually just flipped the sub over this time to lay out this diameter here, and I'm going to cut to the outside of that so it gives me just a little bit of room there. I'm going to get these cut out and we'll start working on this piece. One hole cut. I suppose I should grab a sub and let's test it out. There we go. That's perfect. Nice snug fit on there. I'll go back and hit it with some sandpaper, clean that edge up, but before I do that, I'm going to get this other hole cut out. I got the piece cut. Unfortunately, like I said, That's a very thin, very fine wall there. That side cut, and while I was cutting it, it just broke. But luckily, they make glue. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this together. I may not get as far as I hope tonight because I'm probably going to have to let this glue set up for a while. But yeah, we'll get back to it after a bit. It's a new day. I let this stuff sit overnight. The paint has dried up, and of course the glue is dried up. This thing's good as new now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the die grinder out with the sandpaper discs on it, and I'm going to round some of these edges off, kind of make it 3D like it builds up to the subs. Alright, I know it's going to be a little tough to see from there. I'll bring you in here in a second to take a closer look, but I'm going to do just a little bit of hand sanding on it to clean up some of these rough edges, and like I said, we'll get you in here to take a peek at it. It's getting pretty close. I'll probably do a little bit more here before I try and put any coats of Bondo or anything on it. Just get that final shape really there. You can see it from here, it's kind of hard to see what I got going on. You can see it's just real subtle shaping, just to kind of stand that out just a little bit. But I think once we get some paint on here, it'll look pretty good. So I'll keep going and I'll get back to you. I think I got it pretty close to where I want it to be. Little disclaimer here, I am not a body guy by any means. I'll never claim to be. If you are, hats off to you. You got way more patience than I do. So I'm gonna mix up a little Bondo here. Like I said, give this whole thing a skim coat using only the most professional tools. A putty knife that I had to grind off a bunch of crap, and a chunk of wood as a mixing board. So I'm going to get this going here and we'll get some put on it. It has been forever since I even touched this stuff. Smell brings you back though. I realize there's probably going to be some of you sitting there watching this right now just cringing at how I'm doing this. I know it is not the right way, but it'll get the job done, and for what it is, it'll be just fine. There we go. That's about the extent of my body work that I'm going to do. Got just a light skim coat on there. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it'll all sand out and it'll get me close enough. So after I get done sanding on this, of course, I'll put a couple coats of primer on here, and then I'm going to lay down just a base coat of paint just in case. I'm not sure with that epoxy how that stuff works, how translucent it is. So I want to get a coat of black underneath there, at least a coat of black, and that way if it is a little bit translucent, it's not showing through Bondo or primer or whatever colors underneath it. I just have a nice consistent coat. So we'll let this set up and I'll start sanding on it and we'll bring you back in. Alright, well, I got that sanded and got a couple coats of primer on it. I'm just letting it sit out here in the sun and bake in for a little bit before I give it a quick sand and then put the final coat of black paint on it. Alright, I got the primer sanded down and I got the first coat of black on, just letting it bake off out here in the sun, and we're about ready to start playing with epoxy. I've let that dry for quite a while. We're going to give this stuff a shot. I've already mixed it up. You can kind of see, it's hard to see what I'm going for there, but It's got a lot of metallic in it and basically just black pigment. So I'm gonna see how this works. So far that looks pretty good. I'm really happy with that. I got some metallic in there, I got some little flake bits in there. It's looking really sharp. If it sets up anything like this, I'm going to be really happy with that. So I'll bring you in for a little bit closer look. You can kind of see all the detail of it. Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize that this stuff takes 12 hours to set and 3 full days to cure. Wasn't planning on that. I knew it took a while, but not that long. So I think I might have to move on to something else. I'll probably start working on putting the radio back in the truck. While I'm waiting for the epoxy to dry on that thing, I went ahead and wired in the adapter harness. I'm really glad old Wally World keeps these things in stock still. I stole the old one out of this truck and used it in my 96 F-150 to put a radio in that one. So just a simple run down to the store, pick one of these up, and I'm ready to go. We'll get it thrown in here, hooked up, and make sure it still works. Perfect. There we go, works like a champ. One of my favorite things about this old radio was always this. It's got the motorized angled faceplate. I always thought that was so neat back in the day. I usually leave it about there, but you can hear crystal clear static, you know, copyright free, but I got sound. Everything should work, so we'll keep going here. It's another new day. Gave that epoxy plenty of time to dry, but we're gonna start getting these subs mounted in here. Now I haven't wired anything up yet, obviously. I'm just fitting these in here. I'm gonna get them squared up where I need them, set that faceplate in and make sure there's no interference, because I did with that cutout, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little bit of wiggle room in here, which is what I want, but there's that little bit of wiggle room to where I can maneuver these around just a little bit to fit perfect with that faceplate. So those are dropped in. I'm gonna get the faceplate in here, and then I can go around and start marking for the holes to drill for the subs. All right, set this down in here. Look at that, fits like a glove. So I'm gonna make sure I got those squared up, and at the same time I'm gonna make sure I got everything moved around where I want it, so this faceplate isn't all weird and off center. And then I'm gonna start drilling some holes so I can get these things permanently mounted. Okay, I got my holes marked. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing back out. Easy as that. And then I can start getting the subs out and drilling some holes. Right, got the holes drilled. I already started wiring up the subs, so I'm gonna get these set up here, finish wiring them in, and then drop them in and I can start screwing them. Alright, subs are wired up. They're just set in there for right now. I want to do a final fitment here of this faceplate before I screw anything down. And you can see why now. If you can see that, I have this sub off just a little bit. If I would have started screwing it down, that would have been bad. There we go, and it lifts right out. I'm going to leave that in place while I throw some of these screws in. This to me is always kind of the scariest part, whether you're doing it by hand or with the driver. One slip and you've ruined a sub, so I always make sure to take my time and go pretty slow on this. I'm not going to run them all the way in yet until I get all of them in place. That way I know there's no weird binding issues or anything like that. And then I'll sink them all down. Almost done here. Subs are all screwed down. I still have the faceplate loose here, obviously. I'll have to get something to hold this on. I'll probably just use the liquid nails. It doesn't need a lot holding it on. It's not like it's supporting anything or doing anything. Got the adhesive in there. This thing's sitting all the way down. Took my tape off, of course, because it's in there forever now. And I'll give this time to dry. But before we do that, the icing on the cake. It's kind of cool how these new Alpines do it. Of course, you have your outer mold here that's got the gasket incorporated into it that your screws go through, but then they give you these little rings that actually just snap into the outside of it and hide all that. So you don't have to worry about the old foam style seal on the backside tearing, all that. It's made out of rubber now. And you get a nice finished look on the outside. So props to them for thinking that far ahead. And this design is actually pretty cool because it just pulls right back out. It's kind of like weather stripping, how it snaps in there. So I'll get these put in and I'll bring you in for a little closer look. This thing's pretty well wrapped up. All that's left to do is get it in the truck. I got the faceplate put on. It's been setting up for a while, so it's good enough to start moving around. Figured I'd try something a little different here. I've seen guys do. Using the power of YouTube, I'm going to get this thing installed in the truck. I think what they normally do is snap. So, well, that was weak. Let's try this again. There we go, it's in there. Obviously I need to finish up this cover plate. I might have to make a new one. That old one's in pretty rough shape. We'll see what I come up with there, but definitely need something to finish it. The carpet is obviously pulled away from there, so that carpet goes back up. I might get new carpet and stuff here in the near future, but we're gonna do some stuff to clean this all up real well. Anyway, it's all hooked up and let's see if it works. Real quick before we get too much further here, if you want me to date this build without saying the date of the build, that's how old this thing is. Alright, obviously I haven't spent a lot of time dialing anything in. I just got the subs turned on, got a really crude hookup there. Used to have a toggle switch on it that I stole for something else, but still a pretty low volume as well. Give it a little more. It's an old scratch CD. Give me a break. Alright, well, I think that's going to end this video off for today. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a long time since I built a sub box. It's been a long time since the stereo and everything actually worked in this truck. So it was great to hear it a little bit. I'm going to spend some more time behind the scenes getting all the settings right on the amp, getting all the settings right on the stereo, and really dialing this thing back in. I really was kind of hoping to get it out, take it on a drive, and blast this thing a little bit, but unfortunately I have some other stuff I need to get to. You can probably see right back there behind me, battery chargers on it. This battery's pretty much shot from sitting just for years and years, so I'm gonna have to get a new battery. While I'm doing that, I really kind of want to relocate it back to the bed, probably right next to the sub box. I still need to build some kind of rack or something to prop the sub box up a little bit. Right now I just have an old chunk of tubing sitting underneath it to keep it level, but I need to build some kind of stand there. So those will all be in future videos. I'll get those things all sorted out and get this thing outside, and probably first trips to the gas station and the car wash. This thing is just filthy. So if you made it this far, I definitely appreciate you hanging out with me, following along as I get this done through both parts of the videos. So definitely go down, give the video a like if you made it this far. Let me know that you made it the whole way. Throw a comment down below. Anyway, like I said, that'll do it for this one. I'm going to keep playing, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.